Lock in, it's story time. It's the 6th of October 2024. I am 36 kilometres into a marathon race, and I use the term race loosely because with 6 kilometres left to the finish line, I am moving at a snail's pace. I am fighting to put one foot in front of the other for 6 more kilometres, a distance I could usually eat for breakfast. As I start to slow to a walk, I hear my name coming from outside the race barricades. I consider for a moment that I am in fact dying and I'm about to meet my maker wearing a running vest and ankle socks. But it is way, way different. The screams are coming from my Mastermind girls. They have surprised me on the day which they knew would be monumental for me. Spent hours making signs, see my Instagram post, bring tissues, it was adorable, and waited to see me. They couldn't track me, didn't know where I was or what I was wearing, and so they waited while thousands of people ran past them just to be beside me for a matter of minutes. A random guy running past me sees them screaming for me and yelled over, "You have some great friends." Now, in retrospect, I should have just said thank you and left it there, but unfortunately I yelled back, "They're more than friends, they're my Mastermind girls." To which he looked at me strangely and literally ran away. I hope this episode finds him someday, so we can come full circle on that very awkward situation. Anyways, I had a second wave, picked up my pace until the end of the race where my Mastermind was waiting in the bleachers, cheering for me to get to the finish line. This is one of the countless ways my Mastermind has propelled me in life, known me better than I know myself, and supported me in the way I needed it. And I want you to experience this too. Welcome to the Anatomy of Achievement. I'm your host, Kiara, psychology graduate and head scientist in this lab. If you haven't listened to the pre-lab episode, then you might as well be the guy who yelled at me in the race. None of this will make sense. Please go back and listen. In today's lab, I am going to take you through the dissection of a mastermind, delving deeper into the psychological effects of these powerhouse groups. We will end the lab with an experiment to determine your core values, which can be used as a blueprint for creating a mastermind group. In our pre-lab episode, we discussed how a mastermind operates using the mastermind group I am a part of as the example. We went through the characteristics of a mastermind and learnt that just as the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, the mastermind is the powerhouse of an individual's success. With this knowledge, we zoom in to the blueprint of creating a mastermind, and as we move through each step, we will explore the psychological theories which underpin the powerhouse of a mastermind. The steps for creating a successful mastermind group are as follows. 1. Clarify the purpose of the group. 2. Define your ideal members. 3. Set the structure. 4. Establish ground rules. 5. Facilitate and rotate leadership. 6. Evaluate and evolve. This blueprint is the culmination of research on the stages of group development, psychological theories related to a mastermind group, and real-world mastermind practices. Step 1. Clarify the purpose of the group. Step 1 is based on the widely accepted Tuckman's stages of group development, which is a model that posits the stages and order of a successfully functioning group. Stage 1 in Tuckman's model is forming. As part of forming the group, the members come together to understand the group's purpose. Clarifying the purpose of the group can be considered the concrete foundation if you are building a house, which, if you are doing that in this economic climate, feel free to legally adopt me. To understand the purpose of the group, you can ask the question, what do we want to accomplish together that we can't do alone? I'll say it again. To understand the purpose of the group, you can ask the question, what do we want to accomplish together that we can't do alone? Answers to that question could be business growth, collective collaboration, creative collaboration, personal development, accountability. The list goes on and on. When my friend started our mastermind group, we had a catch up with the prospective members to make sure that we were all on the same page about the purpose of the group. The original purpose of the group was personal development, learning from each other, and accountability. But as the years have passed, the purpose of our group has organically shifted. However, the undercurrent of the group has always been rooted in trust, support, and commitment. Step 2. Define your ideal members. This is arguably the most important step of the process because you want to strike the balance between similarity in values and diversity in skills and interests. If you haven't listened to episode 2, it's a good episode to understand why we want to be surrounded by people who are aligned with our values but are operating in their own lanes. If your intention is to grow in any domain of your life, you will have to step out of your comfort zone. That means going against certain conformities and having people who are allied deviants, that is, people who are also going against the grain in their own way, can facilitate you taking the brave steps in the direction of growth. We can think of creating a mastermind group as creating a group of your allied deviants. Choosing the right people for your mastermind group could really be its own episode, but to do this within the blueprint, we need to zoom in even further into step 2, defining your ideal members. When you're looking for your ideal members, here are the key characteristics: shared purpose and vision, diverse skills but similar values, strong communication and listening skills, commitment level, no energy vampires, clear roles and boundaries, and trusting your gut. Huge. These characteristics are pretty self-explanatory, but let's go through each one briefly because I'm not about to be liable for you choosing the wrong mastermind group. Okay. Shared purpose and vision. To find out if someone has a similar purpose or vision as the group, we will use 2 of the values of the group we established in Foundation 1. For example, if the group foundation is personal development and creative collaboration, you can ask, is this person genuinely committed to growth, which is the value of personal development, and contribution, which is the value of creative collaboration? So you'd be asking the question, is this person genuinely committed to growth and contribution? If the person shares the purpose and vision of the mastermind group, the answer will be yes. Diverse skills, similar values. You want to have a combination of skills or strengths in the group that are complementary to one another. When I think of my mastermind group, there's a word that comes to my mind, and it's umami. If you don't know what umami is, please don't search it up because the answer Google will give you is monosodium glutamate. But the poets will say umami is the harmony of the basic 5 tastes, a perfect combination of flavor. The umami of our group comes from 5 completely different individuals with different ways of thinking, behaving, observing, and operating. But the strength of the group is in the diversity. This is where Bandura's social learning makes a guest appearance. In episode 1, we explored how people learn through observing others, modeling behaviors, and receiving feedback. In episode 1, we saw the potential negative effects of social learning theory when it comes to conformity and imposter syndrome. But here we are looking at the other side of the coin of social learning theory. How when we are intentional with the people we surround ourselves with, we are likely to see improvements in motivation, confidence, and performance. In a mastermind group, These improvements come from members sharing experiences, strategies, and mistakes, which allow the other members to learn vicariously from diverse experiences. Essentially, if you are a very creative person, you may want to look for members who are more analytical or strategic. This can be in their career choices or in their personality types. So those are the elements of diversity that contribute to a successful mastermind. Now we move to the elements of similar values. Where diversity in the group will give you challenge and growth, shared values will give you emotional, informational, and esteem support. This is displayed in the research of group cohesion, where shared values in a group contribute to group cohesion, which fosters psychological safety, the sense of belonging and trust. With group cohesion and shared values comes improved learning and increased risk-taking. To know if the members of your prospective mastermind share the same core values as you need to know your own core values. We will figure out your core values in our experiment today. That is the diverse skills, similar values. The next thing we want to look at when choosing our ideal mastermind members are strong communication and listening skills. As I mentioned in the pre-lab episode, the natural progression of a mastermind group means you will probably be sharing the most important parts of your life with them. And it is imperative that they are able to listen deeply, to give constructive feedback, and are able to respect different views. In my mastermind group, I made a very big decision which not one of them agreed with. And instead of ganging up on me or ignoring it like, okay, well, that's your decision, they were able to respect my wishes, but still sat me down for what was basically an intervention. Sorry, girls. However, because I knew they were coming from a place of respect and trust, we were able to communicate successfully through that situation. Those are the kind of listening and communicating skills you are looking for in your group members. Next, you'll be looking for a strong commitment level. You're looking for people who are reliable, invested, and action-oriented. This is very important because you can't build trust with people who are flaky. And you also want to consider that a mastermind group has a certain time commitment level when it comes to meetups, no matter how busy everyone's life has been in our mastermind group. And I can tell you, these girls are busy girls. They have always made time for mastermind. And you need people with that level of commitment when it comes to the mastermind group. We all remember Dr. Bill from the pre-lab episode. If you don't and you haven't listened to it yet, I can't believe you've gotten this far. Moving forward, beware the energy vampires. When you are screening for members for your mastermind, it will do you well to avoid energy vampires. You'll know it's an energy vampire because they are constantly negative, dominate conversations, they are resistant to feedback, and they are probably toxic or flaky. Having even one person in the group who is an energy vampire will suck the life out of the mastermind group. Lastly, when you are choosing people for your mastermind group, trust your gut. You can ask yourself the question, would I be excited to meet with this person every month? Or do I respect and trust them enough to be open and vulnerable? As illegitimate as this sounds, you can honestly do a vibe check with the person and you'll know whether or not they'll be a good fit for the mastermind. Now you have completed step 2. You've chosen the ideal members for your mastermind group. It's time to zoom out of step 2 and we're going to the next step. Step 3, set the structure. To set the structure of the group, you will need to decide on the meeting frequency, the length of the meeting, the format, and the platform. As per the pre-lab materials, I explained that my mastermind group meets once a month. We block out 2 to 4 hours, which consists of the presentation and our individual updates with feedback and or heckling. I forgot that I wrote that down. Definitely heckling happens. That's crazy. Our platform is ideally did you see what just happened? I just surprised myself by being funny. It's like I left a surprise in my notes for myself. That's crazy. Anyways, our platform is ideally in person, which means that all the members meet together in one physical space. But with members traveling or working away, whoever is in the same, city meets up as a group, and whoever can't make it dials in. Now, dial in makes me feel like an old person trying to adjust to modern day life, but that is the term that our mastermind uses, so I thought it would be true to use that. So ideally in person, and then if not, a dial in. I also think when it comes to hosting masterminds and who does which session, I think it's really good to have an overall structure. We go in alphabetical order so that each host knows when they're going 2, 3, 4 months in advance, and they can be really well prepared. Now that we understand the frequency, structure of the meetings, and overall operations throughout, let's say, a year, we can move to step 4. Establish ground rules. The ground rules for a mastermind group are usually rooted in the values and purpose of the group. See step 1. Remember Dr. Bill and the constitution of his mastermind? It is really important to have these ground rules so that when things don't go the way that they should, or things get muddied, or someone is not meeting their quota or their commitment of the group, the constitution or the ground rules are what you lean on as a group. It's what you go back to say, well, these are the rules, you agreed on it, we all agreed on it, and so these are the consequences of the actions or the choices. It also helps a lot to not let the mastermind group kind of move away from the original purpose. Even with my mastermind group, I've found that we've become so close as friends that it would have been really easy to kind of ditch the mastermind aspect of it and just be that really close group of friends. But because we have the foundation and we have our ground rules, it's kept our mastermind group functioning exactly the way that we expected it to, and the way that fulfills the purpose that the whole group agreed on. So you can look at the purpose and the values of the group that you established in step 1, and you can decide the ground rules from there. I'll share some of the basic rules for a mastermind. These are derived from the key characteristics that we spoke about in the pre-lab. The first is 100% confidentiality. Second, no judgment, only constructive feedback. Third, equal airtime. And lastly, each member has to show up fully. This means be present, be prepared, be engaged. With your ground rules set and established, we can move to step 5, facilitate and rotate leadership. It is extremely important to have that very first meeting to connect with your mastermind group. For our very first meeting, each of us prepared a little presentation on who we were and how we got to where we are today. And to be honest, a lot of that first presentation ended up as me trauma dumping in the form of PowerPoint slides with animated transitions. However, it is really important for your group to get an understanding of why you are how you are, why you make decisions that you do, and also even sharing your core values so they understand, okay, she interacts with us in this way because she really values this, or he reacted in this way because that goes against his core value of X. When it comes to rotating leadership, like I explained before, we have an alphabetical order, so every month it alternates for who is the leader of that meeting. They host the whole meeting, which means they choose and organize the place of meeting. They're in charge of refreshments if you have refreshments at the meeting. They're in charge of organizing everything that has got to do with that meeting. It's really important that the leadership rotates in the group so that it really is a collaborative group, that it's not consistently one person teaching all the others something. And it also really gives light to maybe a personality type in the group that wouldn't usually step forward and take a leadership role. It gives them the platform to really share their knowledge without having to initiate sharing it, because they can just do it in their own rotation of leadership. Once you've established facilitating and rotating leadership, we move to the final step, step 6, evaluate and evolve. This step happens every 3 to 6 months ideally, where as a group you can ask what's working, what's not working. You can adjust structure, members, frequency, all according to the answers of those questions. Our mastermind does a retreat once a year, which is the perfect time to wind down and to reconnect with what mastermind is all about. And that is connection with like-minded people. It's on these retreats that we intend to set goals for the whole mastermind group, and then we kind of split the goals up into who is responsible for what in the mastermind. It's been a little bit challenging checking in on those goals, but it is at least that time that everyone can check in and speak about anything that they want to bring up, or if there are any internal changes that we'd like to make. We also discussed the potential of adding members just to see what everyone thought, and that was a very interesting response from me. Anyways, that is the final step of the blueprint to create your very own mastermind. We will conclude our lab today with an experiment for finding out your core values. In psychology, your core values are central to your identity and your worldview. They are stable over time, though they can evolve. It is generally accepted that ideal partners in a mastermind group share similar core values. I think it's a little different in my mastermind group. Each person has a set of core values distinct from the others, but I find that the differences complement one another. For example, we have myself with core values of growth and authenticity, and someone else who has the core value of joy or fun and experience. She genuinely pushes me to be less serious about achievement in life and value the moments of joy and simply living. In today's experiment, we will identify your core values, and once we have, you can use that as a blueprint for considering other people you'd like to create a mastermind with. Creating your core values can be done through a simple exercise of listing core values. You pick top 5, and then you narrow down from 5 to 3. The list of core values is extensive, but I've narrowed them down for this experiment. If you wish to do it with a bigger list, I will leave a link in the description box. Here's a list of personal core values that individuals often adopt to guide how they live, make decisions, and interact with others. Authenticity, being true to yourself and your beliefs. Growth, pursuing personal development and self-improvement. Honesty, telling the truth and acting transparently. Kindness, treating others with compassion and warmth. Courage, taking risks and standing up for what you believe in. Balance, prioritizing a healthy equilibrium in life, work, health, relationships. Gratitude, appreciating what you have and expressing thanks. Self-discipline, staying focused and exercising control over your actions. Empathy, understanding and sharing others' feelings. Responsibility, owning your actions and their consequences. Curiosity, seeking to understand, to explore the world around you. Freedom, valuing autonomy and independence in thought and action. Loyalty, staying committed to people, principles, or causes. Perseverance, persisting in the face of difficulty or delay. Joy, seeking happiness and meaning in daily life. These are 15 personal core values which I thought are really good umbrellas if you're looking to dive in to understand your core values. Once you've chosen the 5 that you felt resonated with you, you can then look at those 5 and think, okay, these 5 resonated with me, but which 3 do I value the most? If I had to pick 3 that really define how I interact with people, how I live my life, the choices I make, which 3 are they? Once you've chosen your 3, those are your 3 fundamental core values. We can then compare and contrast them to others' core values and see if they complement each other. For instance, loyalty, kindness, compassion. Those are really good complementary core values. And with the end of our experiment comes the end of this lab. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you in the next lab. Don't be late.